go ahead.
Well, I do thank you. And what I'm going to do is turn on my clock right now, because I know that I mean, you put me on stage. I used to sing opera professionally, and so I can take the stage for hours at a time. So we're just going to go ahead and run it. Okay, so 20 minutes and we're going. Anyway, hi everybody. Thank you very much. John, Amy, everyone else here that knows me and I've talked to before. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to make this presentation a lot easier and beneficial for everybody to understand where and how they are, or how they can optimize their health, grow spiritually, financially, economically, holistically, into understanding more about what we do take for granted so many days and so much of the time of our lives, and that is the information of how to use sound. Going into understanding that in epigenetics, which is a new way of looking at genetics.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. Never mind. I'm sorry. I can hear Alan now.
Okay, so no, in looking at epigenetics, the understanding of looking at on top of the genetics, we understand that every single cell in the body is influenced by 4 environmental influences, and that is chemical, heat, light, and sound. And every single cell does have receptors, and each one of those influences, like I said, can be a chemical influence or heat or a type of light, but not many people look at what sound can do. And we understand that very easily. We can see how sound actually influences matter, and it's all matter. In my case, what we're talking more about is an expansion of nerves to open those up more to get away from the dilution experience of amyloid proteins for the neurotransmitters. But for those of you who have not seen this, this is called Cymatrax, which is the observation of how sound moves matter. The term was coined by Hans Jenny back in 1971, I believe. And what we have here is a stereo speaker laying on its back with a metal plate on top, and they pour fine sand on it. And then they turn on a frequency generator and turn on an amplifier. Well, if you look then at the metal plate itself, the horizon of that, you'll see that the sand is bouncing up and down until that frequency generator is modulated to a specific frequency, and then that geometric pattern forms. Now, it's also not just 2-dimensional, but it's 3-dimensional. It raises it up off of, it raises it up from that metal plate as well. So this is the same thing that we're talking about in a way to be able to diagram the difference between a 440 hertz and a 432. Now, our technology, just to throw this out real quick, actually will take any digital audio and make it so that it does give a better signal to the brain. Well, how does it do that? Well, I'm going to try to explain it to you. So understanding that music in itself is a whole bunch of combined in progression of frequencies put together. And so you can even have 2 notes that would be, let's just say, considered music. Bum, bum, bum. So there's your major fifth. But if you think about that, okay, so what other, how can I make that into music? Well, think of the Wizard of Oz. Oreo, yo. Okay, so it's music. So when you get more than 1 note, you can call it music. But the International Standards Organization has deemed that 440 hertz should be what everybody tunes to globally. And we've understood now then that there's been quite a few recording artists that have not recorded at 440 hertz, but have recorded at 432. Now, why is that? Well, when you're looking at a cymatic expression, and that's exactly what we're looking at here. These are two still photos, Petri dishes with colored water in them. And these, again, are sitting on top of a metal plate, on top of a stereo speaker, and they turn on the 440 hertz, and you get this vibration that your still pictures taken from. And then they modulate it down to 432 hertz, where you get this one. Well, what's happening is it's consolidating the efficiency of all the molecular structure of the water molecules to be able to conform into a more precise area to travel in a better direction. Let's just say that. So as what we're trying to understand is a way to be able to get a better signal through the auditory system and through the axons in a way to be able to go then from the synapse then to the dendrite and travel along the axons. Once again, as I was talking about the amyloid proteins, they do get stuck on the interior walls and the exterior walls of the nerves that give the signal to the brain. All right, so what happens then, it's like muckiness on the inside, and the neurotransmitters that you're seeing here passing between actually will get connected with some of those amyloid proteins and not be able to continue the traveling to give that signal to the brain. So it's energy that is dissipated and not even being used. Well, if we can then find specific frequencies that we subject ourselves to, like the 432, then we can actually condense the neurotransmitters into a more optimized traveling through the entire nerve cells to be able to give that better signal to the brain. And what we've expanded upon, we've expanded upon understanding that there are several frequencies that do have a cymatic expression within the mid-range of the understanding of the human auditory system. So there's so many that have been identified from clinical trial reports from Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, Harvard School of Medicine, MIT, and the Oxford Neurological Research Institute. What they have done is taken specific frequencies and applied them to the brain with electrodes, and then with an EEG measured a higher brain cognitive function when they're applying these specific frequencies. Now, other frequencies just don't do that. They will go down, like you saw the blob of the sand with the cymatic expression. And those are what we call white noise, because they don't serve a purpose to be able to accelerate the human potential. And everybody knows what white noise is. Because so many people listen to it to go to sleep. It might be something as simple as a fan overhead that causes a whooshing sound, a continuous whoosh. And that is a combination of millions of frequencies to cause that. If you look at, well, let's just say, go back to that picture I showed you of 432 to 440 hertz. An untrained musician is not going to be able to tell the difference of those two choices of concert A because they're so close together. There's a few people in here that are professional musicians that I saw, and hi, Amy, to be able to, that do recognize the way of or recognize the pitch difference. But those are people that actually study study music and actually feel the music, and inside of a recording studio on a daily basis. Those are the people that actually really do concentrate and focus on the feeling. Well, whenever we're talking then about all these other frequencies that do the same thing, I just realized years ago that all of those frequencies are in all the digital audio that we listen to. So why not, where is the software that I can purchase to be able to take something I'm listening to, whether it's a Mozart concerto or the Rolling Stones, or even an audio book that will take those instruments that are in that and then highlight, locate, lock onto, so that I'll be listening to those frequencies more intensely, but reduce the white noise in between. And let me just tell you, I've got so many reports from the NSF, from the NIH, so many others that show the detriment of long-term subjection of your body and your health to white noise. So when the brain does not recognize white noise as those two words, white noise, it's so much more capable and competent, so that whenever it does hear all of these frequencies, it has to identify each and every one. And like any computer, when you're running 3 or 4 major programs at once, besides all the other little bitty programs that are operating your computer at the time, everything's fine until you upload huge amounts of data. And that's exactly what white noise is. It is millions of frequencies. It's 432, 433, 434, 435. I mean, it's everything. And the brain is sitting there going, okay, 432, 432. It's identifying all of these frequencies, which then takes away from the brain's ability to be able to continue the optimized way of dealing with other information being brought in. The programs for your respiratory. I mean, I've got clinical trial reports from the NIH showing that white noise will slow down your heart rate. It'll slow down your respiratory. It'll slow down the glands in your body from producing essential chemicals, because the processing of the brain has been slowed down by all of this information. It's like when you're driving down the street in a car and you're looking for an address. What's the first thing you do? You turn down the radio. Does that make sense? When you were younger, you were in the back seat of the car. Mom and dad are driving. You're messing with, your siblings, and all of a sudden they turn around and say, "Hey, be quiet. I can't think." This is stuff that we've been talking about for millennia. That whenever we subject ourselves to too much noise, it lessens our thinking capability. So we've just turned that around. We know that is what's happening, but we've found a way to be able to take any digital audio, and what our software does is analyze where those good frequencies are, locks onto them, and we've created a very specific and patented formula to reduce the white noise amplitude, the volume. So in essence, what it's like is taking your foot off the gas, so the white noise can't go as far traveling through the central nervous system or through to give a better signal to the brain. But those other frequencies that make a clear pathway actually do that. And so people have more focused attention. They're able to make better choices. The CDC reports that 85% of all disease is caused by stress. Well, I do have another clinical trial report showing that white noise causes stress within the central nervous system. There's one report that actually shows how detrimental it is to your cardiovascular system, that whenever talking about the amyloid proteins, whenever they get stuck onto the walls, after a while, and I have my own theories about this, but I can't recall the documentation, but those amyloid proteins will actually harden up and become scalable, so that as a vibration or all of this white noise just goes through and it just vibrates without any direction, knocks those apart, and it could cause a blood clot to the heart, to the brain, cause a stroke, etc. So we need to be able to, number one, I ask every single person, become aware of every sound that you subject yourself to. So many people say they want to go to a restaurant where it's like high energy and all, and you have to yell at your waiter, or you have to yell at the person next to you. And then they're yelling all that time and they're eating. Well, the restaurant staff is trained to tell you how to eat, what to order. They put the check down so they can get you out, so they can put more butts in the seats so they can make more money. And then as soon as you walk out of that, you're outside, there's no more noise, you're going to your car, you grab hold of your belly and say, I feel good. We must have had a good time. Well, it's because the stress is gone from you being inside of that environment now. You know, when you go to a concert and you walk into your car after the concert, your whole body is just still vibrating for hours. It might even take a couple of days before everything is back to normal again. And I'm telling myself this because I'm going to go see Lady Gaga in a couple of days. So I'm just going, all right, we'll see what's going to happen. But I couldn't pass up that show that everybody's talking about. Anyway, so if there is, you know, anything that anybody would like to ask, I don't know, John or Amy, how long? I mean, I know that I got 20 minutes. We got 4.5 minutes before that time's up. Is part of that time Q&A?
So 20 minutes is just for the presentation and 10 minutes for the Q&A.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So one thing that we have been working with is trying to get proof of concept. And about last month, the Department of Communication Science and Disease at James Madison University, Dr. Lincoln Gray, department head, has given us preliminary data on trials that they did there, showing the positive response of our technology as a daily therapy then for PTSD and for autism. And so we have other grant applications going out. We're just starting to partner with the University of New England and their head of research there, who's going to be putting together a joint venture with JMU, and will continue to do randomized social trials and so many more applications for grants from the SBIR, from the NSF, from the NIH. And there's no telling where this is going to go because there's just so many applications for using sound therapy. And everyone who is here is, I'm sure, understanding that the natural way really is the best. I mean, you know, watching, if I happen to be channel cruising on the television, you know, at nighttime, every third commercial is about a new drug where they say, do not take this if your left arm falls off. You know, and you just, why would I even want to do that? But every single one of those drug companies has that disclaimer. Now, if you're thinking about song or you're thinking about sound, well, just think about, okay, so you're going out, you have nothing else but sound. Think of a running brook, a river, water, bird song. I mean, my gosh, this is so, it is nature, it is natural. We need to find a way of using that to propel ourselves and optimize our potentials by getting rid of the noise pollution that is all around us. Anyway, so, I mean, that's about as much as what I can say. Anybody can go to our website. I mean, I don't really want to promote this, but I mean, how do we get more information? Well, you can contact me. I mean, if you haven't contacted me in LinkedIn, would love to do a one-on-one with anybody that I've not talked with yet. But you can go to Cymatrax.com and sign up and create a new account. Once you create a new account, there is another button right next to create a new account called Take the Challenge. And the Take the Challenge tab is really a lot of fun. It has 3 different recordings, classical music, let's see, Eine kleine Nachtmusik, Mozart, of course. And then it has the Rolling Stones, and then it has spoken word, Simon Sinek. And we present those 2 different ways, column A and column B. Well, so far, I think about 74% of the people who have gone and taken the challenge have correctly identified which column has been treated with our software, not because of the way it sounds, but because of the way people feel, that they feel like, and that they have more controlled focus over what kind of choices they want to make. And they don't have these squirrel moments where they're being distracted by outside influences. If you think about a TED Talk, they never go over 20 minutes in length. That's because after such a long time, let's say anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, the influence of the white noise in that in itself causes your brain to be fogged down. It's like going from clear blue skies to foggy, cloudy skies, gray skies, because there's so much more stuff in the air that causes you to change your focused attention. You lose your continuity of thought. So if we can find ways of doing it, and that's what we're doing right now with our technology, we've, besides going into the healthcare aspect of what we're doing, our largest client right now is a continuing education university where people need to renew their professional license. They'll go online to our client, watch a training video, and then they take a test. Well, all of the audio in their training videos has been run through our technology, and they're showing higher test scoring. Plus, they're getting response back from their clients that they're able to take that information out to the workplace with them faster, quicker, easier, and longer. Better retention of the information being taught. Anyway, so, here we go. I've gone over 20, it's 21 minutes, and I see Monica has her hand up. So
Yeah.
I will go to gallery view and see if there's any other hands up besides Monica's.